Hello everyone, Chris Casson here at Shamrock Foods, and we're bringing you down into the warehouse because today I want to talk about transition. I really encourage you to watch this video because it's going to help you better understand the growing regions, where this product's coming from, and during times like right now when we're going through transition, some of the breakdown that you'll see and some of the quality issues that at least you come to expect, so that you know if you need to keep inventory tighter, if you need to transition yourself into a different product just during this time. If you're not familiar with the growing regions, primarily in the summer months, we're looking at Salinas, California. So that's all your crops like your lettuce, your bell peppers, your asparagus, zucchini squash, things like that. Towards the end of the summer months, we transition slowly, October, November, down into Huron for a very short amount of time. That's usually just on some of the row crops. And then from there down to Yuma, Arizona, where we'll spend the entire fall and winter before transitioning back up to California. Now, some of the things that I want to try and get across through all of this is what to expect, because we're getting a lot of calls lately just saying, hey, my lettuce isn't holding till the use-by date, we're starting to see some decomposing or some breakdown. That's not to say that all produce right now is going to be bad. It just means be aware of what you're bringing in and maybe where some of these items are coming from so you can make internal adjustments. Let's look at a couple of the items here. The first one I want to point out is bell peppers. So these are just chopper bell peppers, and from a distance they look great. No problem with them as far as decomposing, and I'm not sure if this will come through on the camera, but you can see they start to get what's called blisters. And the blistering is just due to it being the end of the crop, end of the season. Product's not going to hold quite as well. And so maybe for you, while you're processing this in-house, it's not going to necessarily break down on you, but what's going to happen is it just won't last as long. And a good rule of thumb, something to keep in mind is, the end of the summer month season, the last 2-3 weeks, you're going to start to see all these products wind down. It's very much like your garden. Towards the end of the season, everything starts to grow a little slower. It starts to not be quite as crisp or as nice. Whereas in the middle of the summer, everything's perfect. So everything follows suit when we're going through these same transitions. And then when we move down to Arizona, same thing. It's the first couple weeks of the crop of this new product, just like in your garden. It's not always at its best. So a good rule of thumb on produce is when product is plentiful, it's cheaper and it looks much nicer. When you go through transition like we are right now, there's less product available, price is a little bit higher, and quality is a little bit less. So what I'd like to do is we'll walk around through the warehouse here, look at a couple key items that you may be bringing into your restaurant right now, and give you some feedback on what we're seeing here. So one of the other items I want to talk about here are a lot of our leafy greens, and these are the ones that are impacted the most when we go through transition. What we're looking at here is our bulk spring mix, so it's the 4 3-pounders, and one of the things that you can tell is, first and foremost, is the moisture in the bag. Now I want to focus in on the best if used by date here, because I want our customers to realize it's not in-house that we're sitting on product, it's not the grower that's sitting on the product, it truly is the condition. So you can see we've got a best if used by November 17th. So we're still sitting on at least 12 days of used by good product before it's supposed to break down. But if you pull back a bit here, let's cut into one of these bags. You can see there's a lot of moisture in here. The product is fairly wet. And then if you look at some of the darker lettuce leaves, like the red oak and things like that, they're starting to break down already. Now it doesn't mean they're decomposing. You're not going to have to pick through them at this point, but I can guarantee you that within the next few days, you're going to start to see more breakdown on this than you would right now. So we looked at a process item with the spring mix, and one of the things I want to show all of our customers as well is that, if you do go to a field pack lettuce, a head lettuce, a row crop item like this, obviously there's a little more work involved. You're going to have to cut, wash, and do the processing yourself, but you can see that this product's not quite as broken down as, say, a box of spring mix would be. You've got a lot of good usable product in here. Plus, the fact that you're using a green leafy vegetable versus red, like some of the red oaks, red romaines, things like that, the reds break down much quicker. That's where we typically see the decomposing first when we look at a bag of spring mix. So if you were to make your own blends through the transitional periods, consider using a little bit more of the stuff like the field pack romaine, the green leaf, things of that nature. So the whole idea behind today's transitional information is just not to say all the produce you're going to receive at this point in time is going to be poor quality. It's just to make sure you're aware that a lot of the products are going to have shorter shelf life. And to give you an idea of the transition that we're talking about, this is the state of California, and you can see Salinas is right here. This is where a majority of the growing region is from the end of April through the beginning of October, middle of October. Obviously, we're finishing up now towards the beginning of November, but we transition down to Huron just for a short amount of time, and then from there we come all the way down into Yuma, Arizona. So the transition has quite a ways to go in geographically, and so we just want to make sure everybody's aware. Now, we'll be down in Arizona for the most part from November through the beginning of March. So these are our winter months down here, our summer months up in Salinas. If you have any other questions, please get with your sales rep. We have these catalogs available also that gives you an idea of when each of these specific items goes through transition.